بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
ياسين والقرآن الحكيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Inshallah, today we're going to be studying ayah numbers 63 through 67, inshallah. In the previous session, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we saw how the transition was made from talking about the people of Jannah and in a very descriptive manner describing the bliss, the happiness, the pleasure, the enjoyment of the people of Jannah, the people of paradise, and then it made a very smooth, very profound transition over to talking about the criminals, people who have been tried and convicted and sentenced by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of being criminals in the court of Allah. And that basically implicates them in regards to disobeying Allah, disbelieving in Allah, being ungrateful to Allah, and rather taking their greatest and most open, declared enemy, Shaitan, as their closest and dearest friend, and following the path that was laid out by Shaitan, following the precedence that's been established by Shaitan, which is to be ungrateful and disobedient and defiant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not obedient. And so now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually talking about the punishment that is being issued out to these people. What is the sentencing of these people? What punishment has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided and decreed and sentenced these people to? So at this point in time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly addressing these people. Even in the previous passage, He was addressing them. Because that's most appropriate of the occasion, is that Allah is letting them know that, listen, you are criminals, what you have done is wrong, and so وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ, Allah was addressing them. He goes on addressing them here in ayah number 63. Allah says, هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمْ. Remember I explained yesterday how hada was for near. Something that's right here, something that's near, something that's accessible. Hadihi is the feminine form of the same word. So once again, it means this right here. So what does that tell you? Hadihi Jahannam. This is Jahannam. And by the way, the word Jahannam is the actual name of the fire of hell. It's the given name of the fire of hell. And when Allah says that this right here, this is Jahannam, what this implies is the fact that Jahannam will be right there. That just like Jannah was right there for those who were obedient, for those that will be disobedient, Jahannam will be right there. So they're literally standing. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another place in the Quran says, يَوْمَ يُعْرَضُونَ عَلَى النَّارِ. That the day that they will be made to stand, they'll be presented upon the fire. So it's literally like, imagine like a scene of punishment in your head. Because these ayat are very descriptive. There's a lot of imagery built into these ayat. So imagine somebody being taken and literally being hung over the fire like this. Being held by the back of his shirt and just being pushed, and all that's stopping him from falling in the fire is his hand that's holding on to him. Imagine how terrifying that experience is. So Allah is saying, هَذِهِ جَهَنَّمْ. This right here, this is Jahannam. الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. That you were promised. That you were warned of. You were told about. And you were promised. Promised in what sense? That if you keep doing what you're doing, this is where things will end up. This is how things end. So هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون. This is this Jahannam right here, that you were warned about. Islawha. Isloha. Now enter into it. Now the word isloha, islo, it's the command form from sad lam ya, salah. And the root of this word, it basically means to enter into fire. It's specifically a verb that is proprietary. It's specific to the meaning of entering into fire. And it's sometimes used in its muta'addi form. It's sometimes used in its transitive form, which tasliya, which means to enter something into fire. So it's used in both ways, intransitive and transitive. Either to enter into fire or to enter something else into a fire. So it depends on the discourse or the dialogue in that particular surah or passage of the Quran. Some places Allah is telling criminals themselves, walk right into the fire. You need to go and enter into that fire. Once again, from both ways, it's very heavy what's being said. It's very profound. Either these people are literally being told, you see a fire, you know it's a fire, you know what happens when you go in a fire, nevertheless, walk into it. They're being just made to walk into this fire, knowing very well that this is a fire. That this is not just any fire, but this is Jahannam. But willingly to walk into it. They're being told to do that. So once again, just the horror and just the terror that that person will feel. The second way it's used sometimes in the Quran is Allah is entering somebody into the fire. Or Allah is commanding the angels to put him into the fire. Once again, that shows that helplessness of that person. That person is literally being bound and just entered into the fire. So either way, it's very, it's very scary. Literally, it's scary what's being said. So isloha al-yawm, enter into this fire today. This word al-yawm has come 3 times before. I mentioned this yesterday. And the purpose of this word al-yawm, it's saying today, right here, right now, not for the future. Because what happened in the dunya? In the dunya, it talked about these people before, in fact. We already studied this. In the life of the world, whenever these people were warned, remember in the beginning of the surah, by the messengers, by the prophets? Whenever they were warned and they said, listen, what you guys are doing isn't going to end well. The punishment of Allah will come. What was their reaction? What did they used to say to the messengers? Come on, bring it. Bring it. Where's the punishment? If you're not lying, if you're telling the truth, where's the scary big punishment that you're talking about? What? Just bring it now. Come on. Enough talk now. They used to act in this way. They would be arrogant in this manner. So now they're being told, Isloha al-yawm, come on, walk into it. Go, right here, right now. It's not for tomorrow. Those messengers used to tell you to watch out in the hereafter this will happen. You thought that was a big joke. These people are lying. That's why they keep saying tomorrow, hereafter. That's all you people say. What about now? What are you going to do now? Well, now, here's the now. Now walk into this fire. Isloha al-yawm. Isloha al-yawma bima kuntum ta'malun. This letter ba here, bima. The letter ba. The ba is one of the most versatile words or letters in the Arabic language. It's used as a preposition. Harful jar. And it's very, very versatile. It has a lot of different usages. In classical books of grammar, it mentions almost 12 or 13 different uses for the letter ba. One of those uses for the letter ba is it's ba sababiyya. The ba of causation, the causative ba, which basically means that what comes before the ba is a result of what comes after the ba. So before the ba you have the result, the outcome. And after the ba you have the cause. How this happened, the reason for this happening. So isloha al-yawm, enter into this fire today. Bima, because of what? What is the cause of these people being told, go into the fire? Why are these people being told and pushed into the fire? Bima kuntum ta'malun, because of that which you used to do. Bima kuntum takfurun, Bima kuntum takfurun. Because of that which you used to be, and I talked about this before, the meaning of kufr is either to be ungrateful, and then as a result of that ingratitude, to disbelieve. So, because you were ungrateful, and you disbelieved in Allah. And because the result of ingratitude is disobedience. Disobedience, the epitome of disobedience is disbelief itself. So because of your ingratitude, your ungratefulness, your disobedience and your disbelief, that's why you're being told to go into this fire. That's the reason why. SubhanAllah, very profound. When somebody's being pushed into that fire, what's that first reaction of that person? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Isn't that the first reaction? Why are you doing it? What did I do to you? Leave me alone. Why are you doing this? So this person reacts. He frets. He gets scared. He gets defensive. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you pushing me into the fire? So they're being told, no, nobody's pushing you into the fire. You did this to yourself. You had every opportunity. You had every chance. You chose to be ungrateful. You chose to disobey. You chose to disbelieve. That's why this is happening to you. And that's why it says, بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. It's not saying, بِمَا كَفَرْتُمْ. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. This kuntum that is placed here, it adds the meaning of something that persisted. Something that persisted. Because of how ungrateful you continuously were. You persistently, consistently were ungrateful. You kept being ungrateful. You just wouldn't get it. You just wouldn't stop. So you kept doing what you were doing, and this is how things ended up. This is the result of things. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. Now, one other thing I wanted to add here about this word takfurun. Remember, we've talked about it. This surah has highlighted the importance of shukr. And what shukr means and how shukr comes about. That the ayat of Allah remind us, dhikr. That dhikr results in shukr, becoming grateful. And that shukr manifests itself in the form of ibadah, servitude, slavery, devotion, dedication. But the opposite is true as well. The opposite is true as well. That when you don't pay attention to the ayat, the signs, you never remember. You're not reminded. And when you don't remember, you're not reminded, you're heedless, you're oblivious, you're unaware, that results in what? You're ungrateful. Because you don't realize, you haven't sat down and given yourself an opportunity to think. Because you don't pay attention to the signs. So you're ungrateful. And that ungratefulness, that ingratitude, it manifests itself in the form of disobedience and eventually, like I said, disbelief. So this is what it's highlighting. And this is a result of it today. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to talk about these people in ayah number 65. But something changes here. This is from the beauty of the Quran, the linguistic miracle of the Quran, that the literary marvel of the Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes tense. He's talking to them, second person. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. Because of how ungrateful you were. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala switches to talking about them, third person. And why does He switch? Because they've been given their punishment. It's been issued out to them. They've been forced and pushed into the fire of hell. And other places in the Quran they tell us that when people are put into the fire of hell, and they'll continue to cry out from there. Like in the end of Surah Al-Mu'minun, Allah mentions these people will scream and they'll cry and they'll yell and they'll plead and they'll beg. What will they be told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? اِخْسَأُوا فِيهَا وَلَا تُكَلِّمُونَ. They'll literally be shooed away like dogs are shooed away. اِخْسَأُوا فِيهَا. It's like how you shoo a dog away. Get out of here. They'll be shooed away like dogs are shooed away. وَلَا تُكَلِّمُونَ. And they'll be told, don't speak to me anymore. Allah will tell them, don't talk anymore. That's it. You had your opportunity. You had your chance. Now don't make noise. Don't speak to me anymore. Allah will tell them. So now Allah, it's as if Allah turns away from them. Now He's talking about them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, very, very powerful ayat of Surah Yaseen. Al-yawm, today, once again, this is that visual. Today, نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. We will seal their mouths. We'll seal over their mouths. And this word ala is being used because just like you place a seal on something, you seal it up. Similarly, their mouth will just be completely sealed up. See, like I said, the al-yawm is to make you visualize it, to make you see it. So that's why the word, the sentence structure, the word usage is also very graphic. Very, very vivid and graphic. Because it's making you see, al-yawma nakhtimu ala afwahihim. It's like their mouths will be sealed over, completely sealed up. وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ. And their hands will speak to us. Allah says their hands will speak to us. I mean, the hands will start to speak, not the mouth, but the hands. Why? Because they'll try to lie from their mouths. They'll lie. It mentions this other places in the Quran as well. That even between Isa alayhi salam, that these people will try to lie. That no, Isa alayhi salam, he's the one that told us to do this. He's the one that told us to worship Him. Allah says, no, you're lying. And so they won't be given this opportunity to lie. They had every opportunity to say whatever they wanted to say. And look how much they said in the beginning of the surah. Look at how much they said. In the first part of the surah that talked about prophethood, messengerhood, look what they said. In antum illa takdhibun. You're just a bunch of liars. إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ. You're just bringing us bad luck. You're bringing us down. You're ruining our situation. We were doing just fine till you crazy people showed up. That's how they spoke to the messengers. Look what they said about Allah. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ. What were they told? They were told to spend from that which Allah had given them. They were told to spend that which Allah had given them. That's it. Spend a little bit of that which Allah has given you. It's not yours, Allah gave it to you. What did they respond by saying? قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن نُطْعِمُ مَنْ لَوْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ وَطَعَامُهُ. Should we feed somebody? Should we feed these poor and hungry people? If Allah wanted them to be fed, He would have fed them Himself, right? I mean, why doesn't, since you're Allah, since your God is so great, why doesn't He just feed these poor people? Why doesn't He need us to feed these poor people? Look how they spoke. Look what they said. They said all of this. Allah says not anymore today. All of your nonsense, all of the garbage, the filth, the trash that you spoke, that was in the dunya. We let you. We gave you the opportunity to say whatever needed to be said. You had every opportunity to say something good. Just like that man, جاء رجل من أقصى المدينة يسعى. That man also said something. What did he say? قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين. He said, follow these messengers. Obey them, listen to them. He also said something. وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. Why should I worship the one who gave me existence, granted me existence? So you had every opportunity to say what you needed to say, but you made your choice, you made your decision. Today, nobody wants to hear your nonsense. Nobody wants to hear your trash. الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. Their mouths will be sealed. وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ. And their hands will speak to us. وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ. And their legs will testify. Their legs will testify. Literally be witnesses. This person did this, he did this, he did this, he did this. Another place in the Quran, Surah Fussilat, once again very powerfully talks about this. That their eyes and their ears and even their skin will testify against them. Their eyes and their ears and their skin will testify against them. And then they'll complain, لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. They'll say to their skin, why are you testifying against us? Why are you testifying against us? SubhanAllah, and what's one thing interesting in those ayat, their sight, their ability to hear, their ears, and their skin will testify against them. But when they complain, when they argue back, they'll only speak to the skin. And the reason for that is because when the punishment is inflicted upon them, who's going to feel it? The skin will. And that's why they speak in the plural. They say, لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. Why are you testifying against us? We're in this together. Because when this punishment happens, you're going to feel the punishment as much as I am. This is the skin speaking against. The skin will reply, قَالُوا أَنْتَقَنَ اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْتَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ وَهُوَ خَلَقَكُمْ أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. That Allah, who gave everything the ability to speak, has given us the ability to speak today. And He created you in the first instance as well. You have to return back to Him. So similarly here, their legs are testifying against them. بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. What are they testifying about? بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Once again, they're only speaking of that, the hands are speaking of that, and the legs are testifying about that, which these people used to do. The hands and the legs are not making up something. They're testifying simply about that, what these people used to do. Their own crimes. They're just having to answer for what they did. And something else that's very profound is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seals their mouths and makes their own hands and their legs testify against them, speak up against them. It's because there's no denying that. If somebody else was to testify against me, I could say, well, my word against his. He's a liar. But if my own arms and my own legs, think about once again, one thing that's being highlighted here, as long as, I talked about this yesterday, and here we see it again today, the helplessness of these people. You know when they talked about the people of Jannah, it just talked about the luxury, just the pure, sheer enjoyment, pleasure, and bliss of those people, how descriptive it was, they're just living it up. Well, these people feel so helpless. They feel so helpless. And they feel just so miserable and so hopeless is their condition. And that's part of it. That the punishment, because see, when these people opposed the messengers, didn't they cause even emotional distress to the messengers? They hurt their feelings, to put it very simply. They would hurt their feelings. They would say mean, angry, horrible things. I mean, look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look what they taunt him and tease him about. His wife dies and they mock him. His uncle dies and they make fun of him. His son dies. And they call him Abdul, discontinued. No sons. Discontinued. They wouldn't have a moment's of mercy. Somebody's child has just died. Think about that. Think about the pain and the anguish that person is going through. And to even make fun of him at that time. To make an opportunity out of that. To take advantage of that. That's how ruthless these people were. So similarly here, they're being emotionally tortured and tormented here today as well. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَطَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ. Allah says that if we would have willed, if we wished, we could have لَطَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ. The word tams in the Arabic language means to rub something out. You know, sometimes when you write something with a pencil on a piece of paper, and then you sit there with an eraser and you erase it really, really hard. So most of what you wrote down was gone, but doesn't it leave like some type of a mark? It creates some discolorification on the paper, and maybe sometimes a little bit of the mark of it is still left. You spilled something on your clothes so bad that even after scrubbing or washing out, it still leaves that stain. That's the word tams is used. When you rub something, when you scrub something, but the mark of it still remains. It still leaves some type of a mark behind. So that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَطَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ. So Allah says that if we wish, we would have just completely rubbed out their eyes. But something would have still remained, like they would have become disfigured. So they wouldn't be able to not see anymore just because they didn't have eyes or their eyes just stopped functioning. It's like they became disfigured. فَاسْتَبْقُوا الصِّرَاطَ. And then they would have been running around. They would have been stumbling around looking for the path. فَأَنَّا يُبْصِرُونَ. Now Allah speaks to them. He says, speaks of them. Anna means how could they ever? How could these people ever see anything? Their eyes have been rubbed out. They've been completely disfigured. How could these people ever see anything? They couldn't, right? Obviously. Similarly, Allah says, وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَمَسَخْنَاهُمْ. If we would have wished, we would have just completely wiped these people away. Masakh means, once again, to just completely remove somebody. Just completely disfigure, mutilate something. We would have just completely mutilated them, destroyed them. عَلَى مَكَانَتِهِمْ, where they stood. فَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا مُضِيًّا. They wouldn't have been able to go forward. They wouldn't have the ability. مُضِيًّا. مُضِيًّا means to just move on. They wouldn't have had the ability to just move on. وَلَا يَرْجِعُونَ. Nor could they ever go back. They'd never be able to go back again. مَسَخْنَاهُمْ. Masakh literally means to just completely mutilate and disfigure. So if these people became paralyzed, they just completely, all their ability, all their function, all their faculties were just completely taken away. They were just sitting there like rotten pieces of meat. They wouldn't have been able to move forward, nor could they ever go back. Now that's very powerful what Allah has said in these last words. So if you try to even imagine, it's very graphic, it's very disturbing. But see, that's the whole point of it. This is not fun and games. At the end of the day, this is a very serious issue. These people played with their own fates. These people are the ones who played with their own well-being, their own condition, their own situation. They put themselves in harm's way. They did this to themselves. So they're being told. Now once again, the beauty, the mercy of this, somebody could say about these last two ayat, where's the mercy in these last two ayat? That's the scariest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Where's the mercy in this? Do you know what the mercy in this is? It's being told to us now. It's not like a surprise. This is your punishment. And you never saw it coming. No, it's right here. It's right here, right now. Read it, understand it, live, and then fix things. You're being told right now. You have every chance, every opportunity to change things. And subhanAllah, another thing the scholars point out about these two ayat, Allah says, "Lo." If we wished. "Lo nasha'u." If we would have willed. But we didn't. That's the understanding of this. Allah says, if we wished, if we willed, we would have done this to them. We would have disfigured them so they couldn't see anymore. We would have just completely mutilated them, paralyzed them. But Allah says we didn't. People who disobey Allah, that's not what happens to them. But they get chance after chance, opportunity after opportunity. years after years, days after days. They have open-ended. They have so much of a chance to just make a change, turn back, do tawbah, realize their purpose in life, realize what their commitment is, what their purpose is. But if somebody continues to neglect all the signs around him, continues to ignore all the people talking sense to them. Remember, the first passage was about people trying to talk sense into them. Messengers. But even though we don't technically have messengers, prophets amongst us, but we still have the message continues, right? Other people carry the message. The followers themselves are carrying the message forward. The ummah. So they had people trying to talk sense into them. And then the second passage was about Allah. The ayat of Allah. The miraculous, immutable, unavoidable signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are all around us. It said in the earth, in the sky, in the ocean. Some places in the Quran, Allah even says, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ. Even within yourselves you see the signs of Allah. But they just continue to keep on ignoring them. Didn't have time for them to just sit there, look at it, think for a moment. No. أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. They didn't want to think. So if this comes to pass, it would have been because of their own doing. But Allah says, Allah doesn't do this. لَوْ نَشَاءُ. If we would have, but we didn't. Rather, what happens? They live their lives. They have every opportunity, every chance. They still ignore it. But on the Day of Judgment, they will have to face their choices and face their actions and deal with the consequences of the decisions that they made. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to practice everything that's been said and heard. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu.